Welcome to No Force Studios. Today we have Dr. Marilyn Lopresti, Pat Mundus, and Vince from Small Town Values. Vin, what are we going to discuss today?
Today we're going to discuss our health and wellness segment with Dr. Marilyn Lopresti. And Marilyn brought on Pat Mundus, who has spent time on both forks, and we'd really like her input on things that are going on today. So I'd like to start with Marilyn. Would you please tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm known out on the North Fork and other areas as North Fork Bodies in Motion. So it's truly a North Fork name, and it is one that means much to me because of how I started the company. It's about 9 years ago, almost 10, and it wasn't something I had planned on doing, but circumstances brought me to this spot. And if you like, I'll tell you a little bit about that and how I came to the North Fork. I lived, well, first of all, I'm a city gal. Went to school in Manhattan, lived in Astoria, Queens.
I'm from Whitestone, so I know right where you
We
are.
took the trains, the BMT, and all of that, and walked the city blocks where Macy's still is. 3 big blocks. That's why I laugh at the kids being picked up at the door here. But they need to because of different, landscape, right? But so anyway, I married and left Astoria and moved to a new apartment in Deer Park, but we were there just a little while because I had a son, Vincent, who was born, and we didn't have enough room in a 1-bedroom apartment. I also had a German Shepherd at the same time, so it was a little crowded for us. So I moved, beautiful move, to Miller Place, and I lived there 35 years. And at that time, it was much like the North Fork. I rode horseback, not like a normal person, but on the Lilco lines. I used to ride from Mount Sinai to rough board at a dairy farm, so it gives you a picture of the area, surrounded by apple orchards, which the horses loved. And a lot of times the dairy farmer would come out, and when my friend and I were saddling up, he'd say, "You better saddle up faster." And I said, "Oh, you're going to ride with us?" He said, "No, you're riding with me. We're rounding up the cattle."
Yeah, that's great.
I said, "What?" And so he said, "Oh, the cows got out, and we have to round them up. They're in the street." So we did a lot of crazy riding, and I enjoyed it. And I raised my family there. We had wonderful times. But as my husband and I got older, he was the community pharmacist, very famous in Miller Place. He would open his pharmacy at 2 o'clock in the morning if someone needed help. He was an old-fashioned community-centered pharmacist. What happened was, little by little, things started to change in Miller Place. Traffic started to build. The apple orchards and the paddocks and the beautiful pasture that my horse used to run around all day with the other horses was sold. That was a big blow. I had to move the horse. Where to? It was hard to find a spot. My horse went downhill after that. She was getting old. I had her for 15 years, but she didn't have the pasture, the apples, the grass to eat and run wild. So we moved. We decided we were going to retire. My husband and I had a home built in East Marion, and we had always come out.
Sorry, can you tell us the year right now?
The year
When?
was I can't remember now. Oh, the year that I moved out here was 2000. Okay. But it took a few years. I had to hesitate on that. It took a few years to build a house from scratch. Right. In fact, if it weren't for the Levins at Soundview, my husband and I would have no place to live. We had to live in the cabins, and it was a little crazy, but we had a good time doing it. And then we had to move when there was no heat to the rooftop apartment at Sunset Motel over the garage. So with beautiful view of the sound, my husband said, let's forget the house. We'll just stay here. It's nice. Until we walk out on those steps to walk the dog. At that time, I had a Jack Russell also. And we were almost blown away by the wind off the sound, during the winter. So we moved into our home on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And it was quite an ordeal. It was a new subdivision, and there were 26 homes. And before I knew it, I became homeowner president, homeowners association president. No one else wanted to do it. So my neighbor and I did it, and we had to contact all the neighbors. So that was my first opportunity to live on the North Fork. I've been here, I'd say, almost all my life, as far as my Miller Place home went, and my parents and my husband and children would always be out here on the weekend enjoying wonderful scenery,
Everything
beaches.
that makes the North Fork great.
Special.
Yep, and so it's very special, although we lived on the North Shore in Miller Place, but this was different. We loved the rural aspect. We loved riding through and seeing cows and horses, which I was very familiar with at the barn. That was my whole life, with chickens and sheep and ram and crows, not crows, roosters.
Yep.
Who I would wake up if I got to the barn at 5:30 and it was still dark. They were very angry at me because I woke them up, the roosters. But anyway, so we had to commute, I to Comac and my husband to Hauppauge for 2 years while we lived here, and that was quite, something to do.
I can
But it
imagine.
was worth doing it, we felt, to live here and become acclimated to the entire North Fork. I have a funny story with that. I was a district official, so I had an official Crown Vic,
What
black.
kind of district official?
I was assistant superintendent at Comac Schools.
Oh, wow.
And so what they did, a beautiful district, by the way, they gave me the Crown Vic. Little did they know the commute then that I was going to.
Oh, boy.
But no, they were fine. They used to gas it up, take care of it for me. Once I got stuck out here, they came out and they towed the car back and so forth. It wasn't brand new. But the funny story is when I was driving on the North Road or anywhere, people would pull over because they thought I was unmarked police car. So it was fun.
Officer Lopresti.
Yeah, and so I was pulled over once by a police officer, and he said to me, do you know, I think he thought I stole the car. He said, do you know you have official plates on the car? I said, I certainly do. So he looked at me, he said, why is that? I said, because I'm an official, but it's a school district.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Officially.
How else can I help you today, Bob?
Yeah. So anyway, things went along very well. We enjoyed being here, but things took a turn, as life always does. First, my mother became ill and passed away. At that time, she was living in Rocky Point, my father and mother and my sister. And then shortly after that, my father passed away. Shortly after that, my husband became very ill. So it was a lot. So before he became too ill, I guess I'd say, I retired from the Comac School District and took care of him. And about 10 years ago, I didn't mention that part of my background and what I do now has to do with the fact that I'm a 37-year breast cancer survivor, I'll soon be 38. Now, that,
Bless.
you know what, and Pat will tell you this,
God bless.
the word survivor is very unusual, I think, because you're always a patient. I have to be a patient every 6 months. I'm on a chemo drug now, and I have till October, I hope, which will be a 10-year, duration of that medicine.
Let's hope.
And so it was supposed to be 5 years, but my doctor was a wonderful doctor, Dr. Charles Conti at Lake Success. When I thought I was going to be off in 5 years, he said, well, I said, what is well? He said, well, the research shows for you, it should be 10. So, I was kind of deflated.
And I'll get 2 more.
There's a lot of side, right, so in October, hopefully I'll get off of it, but it's whatever he tells me to do. There's very debilitating side effects to these drugs. Bone loss, all kinds of complications that can affect the heart, high cholesterol, everything that you don't want, high blood pressure, all of the things that you try to avoid, the drug causes. So, after my husband passed, after a very trying time, I had to decide what to do because now I had the house to take care of, and my children live on the island and my grandchildren, and my sister's nearby, which is good, or else I would not have had what I had in Miller Place, which is more of a close-knit neighborhood. And I don't have that here. In East Marion, it's completely different. Also, I think that I made the right decision in wanting to teach what I had learned for so many years, because during my career, during my studies at NYU, where I got my PhD, I was studying martial arts the whole time. It became my love, and my sisters, I had my sister to practice with, and took us 10 to 12 years to get the black belt because, we weren't there in the studio or in the dojo full time. We were there many, many nights. So it was, kind of a crazy schedule that I had. And I think that all helped me in the end. Yeah. Because I had the horse, I had to be there at 5:30. I had to do training with a personal trainer to get me through a 6-hour black belt test, or else I would have died.
Wow.
So it was a lot. But I loved every minute of it. I've always been someone who's been very, very active. So putting that all together, I decided, I had all the credentials for the martial arts and for Tai Chi. I wanted to go further. I studied Qigong, which was fascinating to me and helped me actually to be more healthful myself and do more self-healing. From there, I decided, because of all the other aerobics exercises I had to do, weightlifting and all, that I would get the certifications for that, and I would help others to understand what I went through and how it helped me, hoping that it would help others. Wow. And so that's what I've been doing at North Fork Bodies in Motion. And that's why I'm glad I'm here on the North Fork, because I have, and Pat will tell you this, a very family-oriented group of people who, when they start out, don't know one another in class, but they stick with it and they become a community helping one another. Also, I have some people in class that have very serious illnesses. So that makes me really, really proud to be their instructor and on and off the floor, because many of them call me and ask me, what should I do? What do you think? And I can only give them the best advice that I would give for myself, that I would do myself, I give to others. And so that's all worked out. And on top of it, we have a lot of fun. So, it's hard to experience. And I was happy that Vincent and Danielle came and visited us yesterday and participated in class. They did very well.
I love to hear this.
They went through the paces, I have to say, but they held
I
up
found that
very.
I wasn't as coordinated as I thought.
Yeah. May I ask, I love what you're wearing today.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, this is a traditional Kung Fu uniform, and it's worn at dress, and I'm proud to wear it because my children gave me this.
It's stunning.
When I achieved master level.
Wow.
A master Tai Chi and Qigong instructor. So when I got that certificate, I don't know where they found this, but they bought me 2 of them.
Wow.
So that, I would have them forever. Thank you very much. So
It's just
the dragon is a mystical creature and is probably one of the most, if not the most powerful of all of the Kung Fu animals, because it's not an animal you could see.
Wow.
So any kind of dragon moves or moves that you're not going to see hit you beforehand.
Was Bruce Lee Kung Fu? Was that?
Bruce Lee had his own style,
Okay.
and he studied Kung Fu in China. I recommend his Netflix series. It was done in Hong Kong some years ago called The Legend of Bruce Lee. It's all in Chinese, but it has the subtitles, and it's a very good depiction of his life from when he was in high school in Hong Kong and how he was picked on and so forth. And very, very determined. And also a man that is looked up to in all of the martial arts as somebody that would be very hard to emulate.
Right, today.
And his whole thing was that he never gave up. He had a lot of adversity, but he trained and studied. Well, not quite, but what he did was he put his whole heart and soul in studying Kung Fu, and then he made his own. When he came to the United States, he made his own style by studying all the other styles and putting the best together. So he put himself, as you'll see in the film, in harm's way when he went to, for instance, to Thailand to study with some of the great masters there in Muay Thai boxing, and he got really beat up.
Sure.
But then he studied how they did it, and he incorporated all of this.
So he hybrided multiple different martial art techniques.
Yes.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Ben, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Well, we want to,
You have questions, right?
yeah, we do. Plenty of questions. So I want to go back into the class yesterday.
Good.
That class, I want to say, apart from all of the benefits, right? Exercise. I was informed that we in the hour we moved as along like we did a 4K, a 5K, 5K. The coordination, like of all the benefits, I feel everyone should be doing this just for your coordination, especially as you get older in age. I think it would prevent injury. It would
Spiritually, mentally, and physically.
strengthen you, strengthen your core, balance.
Well,
And I also learned some dance steps.
Man, you were dancing.
No, he'll be doing the electric slide.
I was singing too.
Oh, you better be careful.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because there's one point I'd like to make. My program is 4 days a week, but it all meshes together to one big total body workout. Wow. So Monday we have the aerobics. Tuesday we have Tai Chi, which meshes with the aerobics, of course. And Wednesday we go back again to aerobics. And Thursday we do a hybrid class, warm-up cardio, and then we do weight training with dumbbells. But I call it serious. It's not jumping around. It's good form and everything that I've learned. Yeah. So the whole, if people attend, and I do have people come 4 days a week, they have a great program, weekly program. And then on top of it, on Fridays and on the weekends, I do Qigong meditation. So that's the other piece.
Wow.
That's the whole piece.
You devoted your life.
Well, this is all part of what I do every day. And
Yeah, I mean, you devoted your life to helping people.
yes, I love it. And it helps me. It helps me because remember all the side effects I talked about.
Right.
So when I had to start taking that medicine, I saw how I felt. I realized I had to fight it. I had to fight those side effects, and the only way to do it is through what I'm doing now. So I'm helping myself.
I got to tell you, this is a beautiful story. You know, it really is because in life, we don't know what's coming at us and these challenges, right? And we don't know how it's going to affect us. But like you took those negative, terrible things that you were going through and made into a positive, and that
Yes.
spiritually probably embrace so many people that you're helping with this that come every week. They're getting the healing. You're helping people heal in a lot of different ways.
I believe everybody's helping each other heal, and it's compounding.
Yeah.
And doctors.
That's the environment you created.
Right.
Pat, can you speak to any of this?
Pat's one of my prime students there.
Well, Marilyn and I have a lot in common. I'm also a horse person. I had horses growing up in Montauk. I also had breast cancer twice. So I totally relate to what Marilyn was communicating to you. Mine didn't come, well, it was a second breast cancer. It didn't come back. So I was cancer-free for 15 years, and then it came another episode.
That's 4.
Right. So, this constant fear of, oh my God, my cancer is going to come back is something that we share. But I think one of the things that we both really share that we have an affinity for is I really admire Marilyn's ability to mentally reframe.
Wow.
Because this discipline that she's talking about is really nothing more. I have to say, most of our participants in class are women.
Yeah.
You could throw a ball at a girl our age in school and she'd let it hit her straight in the head. I mean, the whole idea of being athletic and being empowered through your own physicality is new for a lot of people in our class. And Marilyn has been such a role model, a coach, a supporter, an all-around humanist. She knows that the fellowship of our little tribe is what we laugh like hell.
Yeah.
We get hot and sweaty, we breathe hard, we get sore, but we also laugh and we dance. And it's just a wonderful thing.
To help each other outside of class.
You can't believe how many people in our class. I have a knee replacement. A lot of women in our class have had 2 knee replacements, hips replaced, cancer surgery. There's a gal who comes to our class. She's 85 years old. She comes to class wearing an oxygen tank and a little harness, and she's game, and she's an old rock and roller. She's having fun,
She was moving great.
Yeah, so we all kind of egg each other on, and we laugh and we be silly together, and I just think it's great. At first thing in the morning, go to class. I laugh a lot. The music is great. Marilyn always picks really fun music, and that hormonal wellness thing that Marilyn provides to us it carries me through the whole day.
The whole day.
I started out doing Tai Chi with Marilyn because with my new knee, I thought I had to do some more PT than just the basic exercises. And I had a few mental blocks with a few of the Tai Chi disciplines.
It takes years.
Yeah.
But she did have a pose. You should have brought that picture of the crane standing on a piling with one foot. I still have that photo. It's wonderful. Balance.
Yeah. So I feel like she's a sister, actually. She's a teacher, a mentor, a coach, but I feel that we have a sisterhood.
Pat, what brought you to the North Fork?
I was raised in Montauk, 15 miles from the fabulous Hamptons, so it was kind of like being on an island. And I left there in 1974, working on boats, went to the Caribbean. And then I also spent you said you were from Whitestone.
Yes.
I spent 4 years under the Throgsneck Ridge. At Fort Schuyler, so I know you're a neighborhood.
That's right where we got off. We would get off right before the Throgsneck Bridge, and lived in Whitestone. And my dad, you said a story before. My dad had a printing business on Steinway Street and on the Boulevard back in the day when people actually wanted copies. Yeah. Cozy Copy Center was the name, and it was great. And my family lived in Malba and all parts of Whitestone. So, and now I don't think anyone's really left besides my uncle.
Yeah.
Everyone's moved away.
That Beach community is a really interesting little, it's a very old-fashioned, local, oriented kind of place.
Yeah, it was great.
I was there from 77 to 1981.
Wow.
And then in 81, I started working on ships. I spent a whole career on oil tankers.
Wow.
Sailing all over the place.
That's awesome.
So I came and went. I also had an apartment in New York, which... if I was flying to Asia to catch a ship, I didn't,
really neat.
The extra leg all the way to the East End was a little rough.
Yeah.
So I kept an apartment in New York.
Also worked out well for you on that.
And then when I met my husband, who was a real West Village denizen, he was curious about the East End, so we came out here together. We kept the New York apartment, and then we built a house in East Hampton, which was a beautiful, beautiful place. On 6.5 acres right on the water. And we had these antique barns that we brought here from upstate New York.
Wow.
Put them on the property. And It was a wonderful
You made
place.
your own oasis.
Yeah, and we sort of used Sag Harbor as our local spot for shopping and
Okay.
everything because East Hampton was out of control.
Right.
Even in the 80s, it was starting to get loved to death.
Understood.
So we stayed there for 20 years. And at the end, even with 6.5 acres, it wasn't enough.
Right. Wow.
And we started looking up and down the East Coast. We lived in Maine. We bought a piece of property in North Carolina looking for a more quieter...
Peace.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking for peace.
Looking for more rural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so over-celebrated now
Right.
that everything is...
I know.
Yeah, we don't even need to
I totally know. I was in Montauk last week, and I said, and we've been going there, obviously not as long as you've been there, but for a long time. And the problem I noticed is that the owners are not at their businesses. And what we're seeing is it's young people just working with a manager managing them and a manager managing them. And even though you're like, they like treat you like you don't belong here, like to come in. I'm like, I've been coming here when I could wear a T-shirt to come here and flip-flops. Now I got to wear a dress shirt just to walk in here.
Well, that's the great part about Greenport.
And that's what's really tough.
Yeah. You can go to the best restaurant in Greenport wearing the clothes that you just got off your boat on.
Right, and that's what I love. And that's how it was
nobody's
when we went
putting
to
on the
Montauk.
dog or
Right.
no one's studying what kind of shoes are you wearing
Right.
and judging your social status.
We have some of these places, you think about it, there's places in Sag Harbor, I won't mention names, but if you try to go in with shorts or they're like, you can't come in, I'm thinking to myself, celebrities come here. Like everyone, like you're going to tell people, these people are some of the wealthiest people in the world, they can't come in shorts on a hot day. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, some of these rules. And I go back to, the small business owners that are still running their businesses. They'll come in. I have 3 months to make money with you. What do you want? I'll make you something, whatever.
Yeah.
But now everything's being corporately run and managed, and they're losing. It's detached. You're not important anymore.
Yeah.
You're just a number. And
There's personal accountability on the fork. And I think that is the main reason that we came here. Well, first of all,
the small business
when
owners
we
their
sold-
businesses on the Norfolk.
right, when we sold our house in East Hampton, our friends started saying, well, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Well, we were on a 57-foot boat, so we didn't really need a house,
Right.
But a friend said, well, I've got a friend in Greenport who's got 2 houses and she wants to sell one. So he said, you want to look at it? And we drove over here with him. And when we met the woman who sold us our house, she said, well, yeah, I've got a big dock there. You can keep your boat there. As long as I own my other house, you can stay there. So,
Wow.
So we bought a house in Greenport
So-
because it came with a dock.
That's it.
That's the honest truth. But now that I'm here, of course, I love being in a seaport.
Sure.
And it's a terrific, terrific place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And the house was built in the 30s, so it has nice old-fashioned craftsmanship. And yeah, it's a really good place. But the people here, they're here, the newcomers to the area. And of course, I'm treated, even though I'm a native East Ender, I'm still treated like a carpetbagger from the South Side. But the people here are here because they want to be here. The food is better. The boats are better.
Boating's phenomenal.
The waters.
Yeah.
I was swimming last night. I said to my wife, she goes, what do you want to do? I said, you know what I want to do tonight? I'm going to go in the backyard on the beach, start a fire, and I'm just going to swim.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to a bar. I don't want to go to a restaurant.
Watch
Just
the
relax.
fireflies.
I'll look at you, you look at me, we'll actually talk. You know what I mean? Like, the basics. There's so many things that no matter what budget you have, you could do for free. The beach is free, right? There's something for everyone on the North Fork.
Well, that's the beauty of Greenport, too. That's their
Beaches.
planning philosophy.
Right.
Is that it should not, the waterfront access should not be for just wealthy people.
No.
Kids shouldn't have to go to a yacht club to learn how to sail.
Did you go to the music in the park the other night?
Yeah. I didn't go last night because we had people over for dinner.
Okay, because Wednesday nights I lose my wife. She goes to was it the Howlett has the karaoke. So I lose her Wednesday nights, and then music in the park my kids went to. But like you said, my kids are 12, 14. They were able to walk into town with their friends.
It's really, there's a lot of free music. There's a lot of community things. There's a lot of volunteerism. I mean, we have casts to try to help the less fortunate. I mean, there are so many really old-fashioned local accountability things that the North Fork does that the South Fork doesn't.
Right.
I don't give a damn about going to a fancy benefit. I don't care if I run into Alec Baldwin on the street,
Right.
Lee Joel. Who cares? You know, that's the focus on the South Side.
Right. Oh, it's funny. We were at the movie theater with my kids, and I didn't know. I was just sitting there with the kids we were watching. I can't even remember the movie, Indiana Jones movie that came out, and I don't even realize. I turn around and I'm like, "Is this the right movie?" Because there was so many intros, and the guy's like, "Yeah, no, this is definitely Indiana Jones." Turn around, my wife goes, "That's Alec Baldwin you're talking to." I don't care who it is. I'm like, I want to know if I'm in the right movie.
Yeah.
But those are the things. You're right. It gets, you're always going to run into celebrities on the South Fork. But now North Fork's awake. I mean, there's a lot of people here now. It's exciting though. Tourism's exciting. We talk about that a lot on the show. Like, small business, keeping small businesses going.
Well, what happened? I've been, like I said, I've been on the East End my whole life. I'm 67. And it's not where you live on the East End, it's when you live where you live.
Right.
Because they're always turning over. And there's so many, this is the resentment that we were talking about before we started. New Yorkers have always historically had a lot more disposable income than people who live on the East End.
Yeah.
That changed a little bit after the invention of the modem, but still, locals resent that people can come and buy second houses when they can't even buy one for their family to raise their kids here. I forgot my train of thought.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry to interrupt. Because it's so special you're here with us today for so many reasons. And Montauk, when you were growing up there, right? And you knew everybody, right? And it wasn't.
We had 18 kids I think there were only 175 kids in the whole school.
Wow.
So there were 18 kids in my graduating class.
How special was it being in that place before it was fully discovered? How great was it being a kid, just walking around? You felt safe. You have lucky doors.
We never worried about who owned the land. You could walk everywhere. There weren't any fences. There was nothing like that. The horses, we would
on the beach.
We'd take our laces on our ice skates and tie them together and lay them across the withers and then ride the horses bareback out into the woods, climb to trees and skate and come back. And it was brilliant. And the kids, I think all of them grew up with this sense of wonder and curiosity that you get from playing outside and inventing things and having secrets and forts.
Yeah,
all that stuff the kids do. Now, kids, I sit there at Mitchell Park and I watch the way kids are parented. They don't do anything. They don't take 3 steps without turning around and asking mommy if it's okay to take step number 4.
It's crazy.
It's really an odd way for a child's development to happen. I mean, I'm not a mother. I don't know.
No,
it just feels wrong to me.
There's something very special that when we take our kids out, and maybe it's to scare them a little bit, to have a little fun with them and make them get creative, but we love going to Camp Hero. As a kid, was that something you guys used to explore?
Oh, yeah. And then, the Air Force Base was still open.
Is that right?
So families lived there who were working there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Did you ever get to go inside any of those, like now they're concrete sealed off?
Oh, yeah, they were all wide open.
Oh, really? So you got to know how to be a local.
It's really dark and creepy. And, of course, that's where we went to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, that's where the cool kids hung out.
That you're not supposed to do.
It must have been so fun.
Yeah, it's terrific. And we took the horses all along the cliff, all the way out. We used to go to sunrise services, the church service at 6 o'clock in the morning on our horses. We would ride.
Oh, my gosh.
And there were cattle out in Montauk, too. That was, they brag about being the earliest cattle ranch in the United States. 16-something. 1665 or something.
There was we took the kids horseback riding one time when they were younger. There was it Roses or Roses?
Yeah, I know where you're talking. That's
it was like
not Rose.
I'm trying to think of the name.
I know you're talking.
Yeah, it was
on East Lake Drive.
Yes, yep. It was great. Yeah, because I had sold Diamond Cove Marina for Skip and Frida Reichart, and I just loved it.
Well, Skippy Reichart and my father were best buddies.
Get out of here.
Yeah. In fact, I think they owned that marina together. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Back in the day, well, I got to tell you, I mean, I love Frida and Skip, and I miss going there, I really do, because I used to go there all the time, and different story, different day, but a lot of good memories.
Yeah.
We would go to Montauk. We try to sneak out once a week. I just took my son surfing for the first time last week. My friend Mike and Sarah, they went out there, and they have a son and a friend they took out, and they took him out surfing for the hills.
Oh, that's so
it was
great.
awesome.
Place to do it.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so exciting to see, like, I caught a wave. I'm like, it's the best thing. Now, come in. I'm scared you're out there. But it was so exciting. The culture's still so fun. You know, I love the flip-flop, go to the beach, hang out, and simple, fun stuff. You know what I mean? It's,
Being out in nature.
yeah.
Montauk was always like that. I mean, don't kid yourself. Montauk was always a place for wealthy people to escape.
Right. Always.
You know, those Stanford White Houses out there are a very good reminder. But the problem is a lot of kids my age who grew up with that abundance
Right.
of great, safe environment and a beautiful natural environment, when you go somewhere else, it's always a little bit of a letdown.
Right.
So,
Once you experience it, so being from Brooklyn, and I lived in a 4-family house. I didn't live in a big apartment building, but still a 4-family house.
A lot of people.
Now
4-person.
feels like so cramped, like claustrophobic cramped. Whereas you get to come out to the North Fork, experience open spaces.
right, beautiful. Yep.
That's why the North Fork is the North, and that's why I'm doing the show. Is once you get to the vast, you can't go back to the city. It's hard.
You know, I want to mention one thing before I forget. And going back to Greenport, in my classes, I have grants that were bequeathed to us from the New York State Office on the Aging for people 60 and over that reside in Greenport and are over 60. And so I have scholarships. By that I mean free packages of study that I have given out to people, but I have some left because I have one gal who's ill. She won't be able to use her package. I have another person moved away. So, you know, I have those classes left over. There's not many,
great.
and it ends in December.
Okay. So
But you
But
do have to be from Greenport, right?
They have to be residents of Greenport, 60 and over,
okay.
and they can take any of my classes.
I love to give my mother a
I mean,
It's so good for her because it's nice to get to network with people. She's the best.
If you need
she's awesome.
exercise and you feel you can exercise,
yeah.
you really need to go to North Fork Bodies in Motion.
Right. And it's
Because you
Oh, she'd love it. No, she's a very active woman. She walks around and everybody. I mean,
But
it's always
even
nice to
so-
get involved with different things.
Marilyn shows people that you don't have to be a super athlete. I've been to all those aerobics classes with 20-year-olds.
Right,
You don't have to jump around and, you know,
it's all
you can
fitness
go
levels.
deep, right? You can squat and step as deeply or as with as much exertion as you want, or you can just kind of dance along.
Or you can walk in place. It's all walking based.
That's amazing.
So the thing is, as Vincent will tell you, we're not just walking in one spot. We
I broke a sweat.
right.
We turn around, we go diagonally, we go backwards. It's all part of another thing that I trained in called functional agility or functional abilities for aging adults. So we don't want to lose a grasp on the little things that we don't realize that we're doing, even just turning around.
Right.
Yeah, there are exercises also that Marilyn does that are mindfulness exercises, which is part of her martial arts training, I think. So for a lot of people, they don't think about turning right or turning left or spinning around or going forwards or backwards. But she runs everybody through those paces. And if you're not focusing and paying attention, you get out of step.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's fun.
I was out of step more than I was.
Well, you know, the purpose isn't to catch people going out of step. The purpose of the turning around is part of self-defense and being able to move out of a situation quickly. And, you know, I talk about that a lot in class. So you want to be able to move your body as a unit rather than stay planted like cement to the floor.
Right.
And try and turn. And
Flow
so
like
forth.
water.
Yes, it is. That's true. It's exactly
Doc,
true.
can I ask you, before we conclude today's show, I just want to ask you, because you have such a great story and you've done so many wonderful things, you know, and I could tell that you do
Thank
everything
you.
with love and from your heart. What is something that somebody who might be struggling right now, do you feel, I mean, obviously martial arts, the spiritual, the physical aspects of it have changed your life and you've helped other people. But what would you say to somebody if they were saying, when you're losing hope and you're on the bottom, what keeps you going?
Well, it's easy for me to talk about that because I've been there.
Right.
Similar to Pat, I had at least 4 bouts or more with breast cancer recurring, and the last one was 10 years ago. And I attribute a lot of that to the stress of taking care of my husband. And then when he passed, I felt like my whole world collapsed, and I was at the bottom. And, I picked myself up and I said, I can't do this. The only way I was able to get out of that was by helping other people.
I love this.
That's the only way. So in participating in my classes, I'm hoping, when students participate, I'm hoping I'm sharing those values with them, not only by telling them, but by modeling for them.
It's amazing.
And so, it means a great deal to me.
It's beautiful.
That's
Thank
the
you
only
so
way.
much.
You can't just tell someone, you have to do it. You have to walk the walk, as they say. Yep.
I think people do feel that because I hear a lot of people saying, "Well, I was really feeling stiff," or "Oh, my back hurts," whatever, and then they come to your class and then they talk with other people who have similar struggles, and they say, "Well, you know what? I have a lot to be grateful for."
Absolutely.
But you kind of learn by contact.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, Marilyn, what I would like to do, so you don't have to be 60 from Greenport, I would like to, small town values, no faux studios. Doug, I'm volunteering you. We want to purchase 2 packages. I'd like you to give them out to whoever needs, whoever feels they would like to try it.
Yeah,
This way you don't have to incur that expense. Anybody on the show, if you'd like to go, you could start out and use one.
Contact me.
Yes.
They don't have to live in Greenport.
You don't have to live in Greenport, but you really should go. I highly encourage it, especially as you're getting up there in age. You can do everything Marilyn is doing in class.
Fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I was even singing. I tried to get everybody to laugh. But,
They asked where you were today.
well, I understand. I
They
will
wanted
get
to-
there. I just don't know if I can get there every day, but I will be at that in some classes for sure. Doug, you're even coming.
Well, yeah, why not? Well, I used to study Sean on Rue with Frank Bass. I was a school teacher, and I loved it. But unfortunately, life, moved on. I was a teenager and a lot of other interest in the teenage years. So, but it was wonderful. It was spiritual. It was mentally and physically, to the core. I loved it.
Well, my classes really fit into the martial arts arena, but they are not martial arts classes, truly martial arts in the sense where people are going for belts or anything like that. But I incorporate that teaching into everything I do because it brings good body alignment, it brings self-confidence, it brings courage. And so that's what we're all about.
Yes.